Hey, family, per usual, black love, black pride, black power. You have to know yourself, to love yourself, to love your people. Cancel that subscription to White Supremacy Weekly and check that ego at the play button. Okay, this is episode 2 of the Redemption Chronicles. And today's question, well, I guess it's still today, but this episode's question is, can you come back from swirling? Well, let's see. I think that this is a case-by-case basis. It's a maybe, there's no's, and there's yeses. So for the yes, you can come back from swirling, but you have to really be all in. 1 second. Also, like I said before, it depends on what kind of a swirler you were, okay? There's like 3 major categories for swirlers. Of course, there are individual cases and stuff out there, etc., etc. The first case is the basher. These swirlers are the Tommy Sotomayors and the Kristen Karazins, etc., etc. There is no redemption over here for your ass. Sorry, not so sorry. You don't, And if it's not obvious why, that especially if you have a platform and you are actively trying to get black people to swirl, divest, etc., etc., like if that's your whole mission and campaign, etc., etc., you are a problem. And even if you do decide to come to your senses, everybody who you've influenced, you've made more problems. The damage is done. You can take it back all you want to, but the people that you've influenced, the people who followed you for all these years and took your advice and they went and swirled, and now we got all these other people swirling and making, non-African children, etc., because y'all, or, now we have a whole bunch of people who have these new set of ideas about African people that's stuck in them and that they're holding on to because all you did with your swirling campaign was go around and bash black people. The damage is done. There's no coming back. Now, these people can also fall into the category of the swirling recruiter, especially people like Kristen Karazin is a swirling recruiter. The bashers and the recruiters, the damage is done. Sorry, there is no redemption. And even if you were not on a social media platform, super duper, making it literally your coin to convince black people to participate in our own genocide, throw away our crowns and lay with pigs and off-brands and shit. Even if you're just an average Joe or average Joanne or whatever, and you're just running around and you're swirling, you want all your friends to swirl, all their friends to swirl, and anytime you go out to tea with the girls, you're talking about how you guys need to give up black men and black men are shit or this and that about the other side of the fence and there is no redemption for Jute. Okay, sorry, promoters and recruiters, there's no coming back. Now the divested swirler, well, this one's a little tricky. The divested swirler, in my opinion, is the most respectable swirler, simply because when they're swirling, they're doing their own thing and they leave over here the fuck alone. Okay, if you're so happy over the fence and if you feel like there's no issue in what you're doing and life is just so great with your animal partner, whatever the case may be, then you don't got no business being involved in black shit if you are not practicing black love and if you do not have enough sense to know that black people are made by black love. And if you can't have a non-African partner, you can be a black single person who isn't swirling and being on this black shit, but once you've decided to hop into a relationship of any kind that involves intimacy, certain types of commitment, potentially children, etc., etc., marriage, boyfriend, girlfriend, fuck buddy, whatever you want to name it, you have no say at all and what goes on over here. You cannot sleep with the enemy and then come back, to the squad and want to complain about the enemy. It's not an option. So the divested swirler, if anybody doesn't know what divested means, these are the swirlers who have nothing to do with the black community. They and a lot of times, most times they're just miseducated. They haven't had traditional experiences as an African person. Their eyes haven't been open to how much more blatant acts of racism, or even the systematic racism and oppression against them. So in their heads, since they're unbothered and unaffected, and things like dating outside of their race isn't going to negatively impact them, they are miseducated. I think there is room for redemption. For one, if you work really, really hard. Two, don't mention that you ever swirled. And if you do ever find yourself in a comfortable enough position to mention that you used to be a divested swirler, then don't think that shit is cute and try to brag about it over here, for one. And for two, you just want to suppress that as much as possible. Like, if you were a divested swirler and you want to come back to, being pro-black, pro your race, pro-black creation, etc., pro-black love, pro-black relations, pro-black relationships, we don't want to hear about it. Okay, there is room for redemption, but you gonna have to keep that old shit extra low key. You're gonna have to completely denounce and deny it. You're gonna have to completely, re-educate yourself and get on board to what it really was, so that if you do bring it up and you do talk about it, it's from a honest and realistic perspective that's based in reality, so that maybe you can help other people who are swirling, see that what they're in isn't what they think it is. Now, this is the fourth one. I know I said there was about 3 categories, but 3 or 4-ish. The love has no color swirler. Now, these are normally the swirlers who don't even traditionally always date outside their race. They're not, I only date non-African people. These are people that, that have probably grew up in a multiracial community, a multi-ethnic background or whatever, and they just were surrounded by everybody, and they weren't, when you're in those multicultural environments, you're not up on your black shit. You don't know the truth about your history and the relations between every other race and ours and whatnot. So you're not going to understand how detrimental and insulting it is for you to be with a non-African person. Again, like the divested swirler, these people are normally oftentimes miseducated. So yes, there is room for redemption. Again, if you educate yourself and work entirely hard, etc., etc. But we have to understand, realize, and remember that majority of black people grow up surrounded by black people. So we have a lot of people who, don't really care about race when dating or whatever, but they were just raised around nothing but their own. So that's who they always gravitate towards and date with, get married to, etc., etc., This is it. If all I see is black men, that's all I'm gonna know. So it's not like, a lot of people have something against interracial dating or whatever. They just, I'm cool with what I got going on over here. But we have to remember, especially if you're trying to, get back into the pro-black community or the black conscious community, the black revolutionary community, etc. You got to be prepared for shit to be really hard if people know or find out that you used to swirl. It's going to be hard to trust you. Black women especially have a difficult enough time finding a black man that's gonna just want them, and we already have to compete with each other black women. We don't want to have to worry about you slipping back over the fence. There is nothing more insulting than a black woman being cheated on with either a man or a non-black woman, especially a white woman. I'm not even going to say what I wanted to say about that, but the point of the matter is if you used to swirl and you're coming back to this side. Don't expect it to be easy. Don't expect arms open wide. Our people will have already felt betrayed and hurt and stuff, and a lot of us do take that shit personal when our brothers and our sisters go and leave literally their cosmic match for something beneath them. So don't expect it to be easy to jump back on this side, you know, but when you jump back, be persistent and be prepared to stay back, stay black, stay black, stay back, okay, no, but that's just what it is. So there are about 2 or 3 types of swirlers that there is no redemption from, and that is the swirling promoter, swirling basher. That's 2 types. I might be missing one. And there's 2 types of swirlers that there is a possibility for redemption, and that's the divested swirler, and that is the love has no color swirler. Best of luck to you if you're trying to come back, but don't expect it to be easy. Be prepared to work really hard. You have severed trust with your people in the community, you know, and you put yourself in quite a position, and you can't use the whole, oh, you know, black man or black woman didn't want me or didn't like me or whatever, because dark-skinned natural black woman over here growing up being completely consistently rejected by African men, and still you don't see me jumping on other sides and shit. You see me still with my brothers. A lot of these things take time. But with that being said, family, also, one last thing, you have to also be prepared to come to terms with the truth and the reality interracial relations and relationships. That means just the history between conflicting peoples. That means the reality of these conflicting people's relationships, you know, the reality of these relationships today, what it really is to be in these relationships with each other and stuff in today, etc., etc. So divested swirlers and love has no color swirlers, come on back if you so choose, but just be ready to know you're gonna have to fight to prove yourself. As usual, black love, black power. You got to know yourself, to love your people. Cancel those subscriptions to White Supremacy Weekly. Like, comment, subscribe, and share my videos, please. Let's get the discussions popping in the comment section, and I will see y'all next video. Peace.